Go Ask Alice is a show intended for adult audiences, because adults want to learn too. Sometimes we cover sensitive material, so please take care of yourselves, and listener discretion is advised. Now on to the show. Hello internet friends, and welcome back to another episode of Go Ask Alice, a show where we jump down random internet rabbit holes and bring you wonderful factoids from our adventures in Wiki Wonderland. I'm Drew, and I'm wearing big boy pants today. Look at me, I'm a big boy. With me is...
I'm Lindsay, and I thought my house was haunted, but it turned out to be a scented candle.
Oh, I need to hear that.
Good.
Sorry. And I'm Sara, and I accidentally bought a smut book, and it's good.
Oh.
The blurb did not do justice about what was going to happen inside.
I just imagine Sarah going, oh!
Oh. It is romance.
That's nasty.
This is the show where we jump down random internet rabbit holes every week. We all start on the same wiki page and we wander around the internet using hyperlinks within the article until we land on something we cannot stop reading. Typically, this means that we have read 2 or more paragraphs, we consider ourselves metrically hooked, and we are beholden to share it with each other and with all of you. This week we started on Diode, which is an electro engineering magnetic thing object.
Yeah.
Despite having a degree in it, I don't give a shit. This is an educational podcast. Everyone, welcome to the learning. Where did we all end up on cooler things?
Well, I ended up on something called Crime Light, or ALS for short.
Ooh.
It sounds super cool. It's not cool.
Oh,
Okay, we'll be the judge.
okay. You'll be the
You'll be the judge
exactly.
of that. That's true. That's true.
Sounds very cool.
Where did you end
Okay,
up,
so
Sarah?
I ended up on a person called John Romulus Brinkley, also known as one of the first great American quacks.
Oh.
Oh, I can't wait. Sarah texted us all before the show, like a week in advance, and was like, my topic is shocking.
Legitimately shocking. Like, I could, like, as per the rules, did not stop reading, because as I started reading, it said goat gland transplant, and I was like, the fuck? And had to keep reading.
Holy
and
shit.
I like that.
It is wild.
that.
It is wild. But we'll wait. Where did you end up with?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I am going to teach you all about Simlish.
Simlish.
Oh, okay.
What is that?
Simlish. We'll find out.
Yeah, I will
Okay.
reveal all.
Okay. Well, before we dive in,
Man.
and this week's question of the week was, what was the last thing you threw out? I'm going to go to Lindsay, because you are moving soon, so I'm sure you've thrown out so much stuff.
Yeah, I keep finding cat hair tumbleweeds around the house, so it's been just a lot of like, how is there so much? Just picking up pieces of baby garbage. We do have some listener submissions, but before I get to those, what are your entries?
Well, what are ours?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, when you ask the question,
Yeah.
you got my answer, and you're not gonna like it.
I know.
So at the time when this question was asked, I was still working in a theater, and in theater we use bad condoms as sweat protectors for microphones. And so I threw out a box of sweat protectors.
Wait,
What?
can
put
you
them over
define
the
bad
microphone?
condoms, please?
Yeah, over the microphone, like over the microphone packs, we like wrap them in condoms.
Oh, and put it like the
bad
pack that
because
goes
they're-
in the back of your back.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes... I was like, someone's walking around with a condom on a microphone while, like, singing.
No,
I'm
no,
like,
God,
I've
no.
never seen that. Battery packs, okay.
No, it's the microphone
Okay.
pack itself. So it's one, they're unlubricated. 2, they're poorly produced because they're terrible condoms. Like, they break all the fucking time. They're terrible. And so
Are
like,
you going to, like, drop a brand name here to warn out
well,
listeners?
they're literally called sweat protectors.
Oh.
Like, for that reason, because they're bad condoms. Like, they're like
Yeah, but
poorly
Sarah's saying, do you
manufactured.
want to like drop a brand name?
The sweat protectors is the brand name.
No.
What?
Yeah.
Is it specifically for theater things?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, but
Like
on
the
the
big
box
says sweat protectors.
No.
It says sweat protectors.
No. Do you think anyone's ever accidentally bought
You want me to
them for
find
other
an
things?
image of it? Like, I can.
So what does what Trojan just goes through and is like, oh, that's not a good one. Chuck it in the sweat protector pile.
Yeah, that's exactly what they probably did.
Oh my god.
Like, oh, that's a poorly manufactured one.
Dear Lord.
This has gotten way off topic.
What about you, Sarah?
This is so fun. So you threw one of them out, Drew?
I threw a box out, yeah.
Okay.
Because it was empty.
Okay. Clarity. What did I throw out? Probably my smoothie cup from yesterday because I've been having jaw issues where I've been living on a liquid diet. And so I've been living on banana mango honey smoothies, and I threw a cup out this morning actually.
Sorry about your jaw issues, Sarah.
That's okay. It's because I'm a grinder in my sleep.
Uh-oh.
So we have some listener submissions that are also very food related.
Okay.
It seems like everyone throws out food products.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Geist threw out an empty combos bag, and I meant to follow through on what flavor of combos it was, but then I got distracted.
What's a combo?
Shocks. Oh, combos are like these American snacks that there's no not disgusting way to describe them. It's like a hard cracker around a really soft interior that normally has a very savory flavor. So it'll be like mushy cheese or like
cheese.
What? Do you buy them in
remind
the
me of
fridge
Dungeons.
aisle or are they in the pantry aisle?
You get them at like the airport or truck stops or the snack aisle.
Right.
they're really addicting. I'm trying to
Oh my
remember other
God.
combos flavors, but I think they aren't there some like meaty flavors too, or am I
Yeah,
making
there's like
that
cheese
up?
pizza. There's
Oh
like all
my
kinds of
god.
things.
Okay, well, next time I'm in the US, I have to try them. They sound disgusting. I thought you were going to say it's like the bag of chips you can get, which I've had in the US, where it's like random, like there's Cheetos, there's Doritos, there's like burger rings, like all of it chucked into one bag, which I think is messed up. And anyone who enjoys that, I question your mental stability. With love.
I love those.
Oh my God. No, because the texture, this could also be my my special part of me coming out. The textures are different. So like every time you take a bite, it's different, and that annoys me.
That annoys. See, that's
Which
what
I
keeps
think-
me awake on a long car ride. Is that I never know what I'm gonna get next. So I just
Oh my
You
God.
just stick your
Okay,
hand in. Whoa.
I take it back. I love you very much, and I don't judge your mental stability.
it's fine. I'm not stable. It's okay.
But I refuse to eat them. They freak me out.
Yeah.
I respect your differences.
Thank you.
Go Shocks Only Fly, I think is how to say their username, on our Discord. It said an empty pastry bag, which makes sense.
Oh.
And Cake Mastermind threw out eggshells because they were having breakfast for dinner.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love breakfast for dinner.
It is the best.
Amazing.
Robin said something on Instagram and I forget what it is. So, Robin, you've had enough.
You're cut off.
I'm going to make up what Robin said incriminating evidence. Moving on. What order should we go in?
I'm dying to tell you about John Romulus.
Okay. I will take that into consideration.
Thank you.
I already forgot Drew's topic. This is off to a
Crime
great
light,
start.
baby.
Crime light. Sarah, does your person commit crimes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So many crimes.
Okay, so why don't we do Sarah, Drew, me?
Okay.
That works for me.
Perfect. Okay.
Regale us,
So
Sarah.
fucking exciting.
Regale us, yes.
Okay. So my topic this week is John Romulus Brinkley. Also, one sentence explainer if you ever needed to give an elevator pitch of who he is an American quack. The line that got me is that he was the pioneer of goat gland transplant for testicles and ovaries.
Oh, good. I always
Oh.
wanted to meet my hero.
Yeah. Yeah. And I read this in the first paragraph and I was like, what? That's not a thing. Right? That's not this is why he's a quack, right? And I was blown away because there are so many other bad things that this man did that
How does it
make
get
him a
worse?
quack. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm going to give you the history.
Okay.
Let's start at the very beginning. So he was the son of J.R. Brinkley Sr., a man whose first marriage was annulled because he was underage. And then after he reached adulthood, he married 4 more times and outlived each of his young wives. And I've got in brackets, suspicious.
Yeah, a little.
No, not throwing any claims, but suspicious. Now, John is the son to none of those wives, but rather the niece of one of those wives. And the father had an affair with the niece of one of his wives who had come to live with them. Right?
Ew!
Crazy,
don't like
crazy
that.
town. So unfortunately, this mother, she ended up dying when he was 5, and his father ended up dying when he was 10. So he was basically, near orphaned at a very, very young age, which would have been very traumatic, the poor thing. So he worked as a telegrapher, but he always dreamed of becoming a doctor, which was not a dream that was far away for this man, and we will see why. So at the age of 21, he was already married.
Just got farther.
Just got farther.
This is not going to be inspirational, Sarah.
What are you talking about? Anybody's dreams can come true if you break some laws. So at 21,
Robin.
He married his wife named Sally, and they began to travel along posing as Quaker doctors. So he left his job as a telegrapher and was like, I want to be a doctor. His wife was like, okay, why don't we just pretend to be doctors with Quaker doctors? And they went traveling about giving rural towns a medicine show, and they hawked patent medicine, which, for anyone who doesn't know, back in the ye old days, this was like someone spruiking like a liquid or a pill or a vitamin. Like, imagine someone trying to tell you that this vitamin would solve all of your issues in all of the world, and the doctors don't want to prescribe it, so you need to buy it from me. It's that type of behavior.
And sorry, I interrupted you when you said it. This was in the 1920s?
This was in the 20s and 30s. Okay.
That's pretty recent.
Because he ended up dying in the 40s. It's like uncomfortably recent. So within the last 100 years, this man was gallivanting around. But, selling vitamins or weird supplements that probably won't kill you, okay, sure, you got to do what you got to do, bud. I do not condone it, but whatever. So this was in 1907, so a little bit before the 20s. A lot before the 20s. Edit that out. So this was 1907. So Brinkley settled with his wife in Chicago, Lindsay.
Hey,
right near you. Where they celebrated the birth of a daughter on November 5th. Now, the new father then enrolled in Benchett Medical College, which was an unaccredited school with questionable curricula focused on eclectic medicine. I never want my doctors to be an eclectic medical doctor, but whatever. So he enrolled in it. So he had a child and was like, I want to be a real doctor. So he enrolled in this non-real doctor school.
Jesus Christ, there's so many of them.
There's so many.
So many fake doctors.
At school, so while he was learning, he was introduced to the study of glandular extract and their effects on the human system, which legitimately in humans, when our glands do things, that's interesting. Things happen, right? That's real science. But he was determined that this new field would help him move his career forward in new and interesting ways.
Yeah, definitely interesting.
Yeah. So a side note, during his time studying, his wife actually left him with their daughter. So she ran away. She left him and was like, I can't, we're over. Took the daughter. He did not like that. So then he kidnapped his own daughter and fled to Canada. There was like a whole
Holy
thing.
shit.
They couldn't extradite him. It was a whole thing. So they ended up making a deal, him and his wife, to bring the daughter back down. And as long as the wife would continue in their rocky marriage, everything would be fine. No charges would be pressed.
Wait, okay. I really want to know why they wanted to get a divorce. Like, was she like, I only want a fake doctor and now you're too legitimate? Or was she like, your program is a fake and I don't want to be with a fake doctor? Like, well, I want to know.
I think it was more like, we have no money. Like,
Yeah, we'll
we've
do
got
it.
no money. We're in our eyeballs up to debts. Like, the school's costing a lot of money. I don't think he's working a lot during this time. So it's like, we have a child. It's not a good time. And this
I'm
just
gonna
kind
go
of,
make my fortune in Canada.
yeah. Well, this kind of escalates because he couldn't afford to finish his unaccredited degree. So he did the next best thing. He bought one from a diploma mill.
He should have just done that from the start.
I know, right? Like, if you're not going to be a real doctor, what are we doing, bud? So this is insane. Diploma mills were really a thing back in the day because, 100 years ago, how could someone check where your school was? You could write for a reference, but you'd probably employ the person before you ever heard back about a reference. It's not like you could cross-match to see if somebody had studied where they said they were. So he just bought a diploma and people believed it. So after all of this time studying at the unaccredited school, earning no money, he was in tons of debt. He had to pay for this new diploma. It was just like a shit show, right? So him and his wife, who now had 3 children, so while all of this is happening, 2 more children are born. She was like, look, I can't. And she left him this time for good. And she took the 3 children. But Romulus this time wasn't as outraged, didn't try to kidnap the children. Instead, he ran away to South Carolina with a friend and started his first quackery.
Oh, good.
Who, what?
A quackery. His doctors, in strong quotation marks, his doctor's practices. So in South Carolina, what they were doing, they set up this little shop, right? And they advertised these $25 shots that were meant to treat syphilis and protect against syphilis. So $25 back in the day is about $700 US now. So a lot of money. That's so much money. And it wasn't a true shot. He was injecting colored water into the people. Which is super dangerous.
God. How does
Super
he fucking
dangerous.
sleep at night? Oh, okay, and that.
Oh, he's making $700 a shot. He's sleeping great.
Oh my God.
Sleeping great.
Isn't this? So this is bad, right? You're like, well, you're lying to people, you're stealing their money. That's not good. So that only lasted a couple months.
Also, syphilis is nasty. Like, that's like a bad illness to have.
And people thought they were like being protected / being cured, which is heartbreaking. And it only lasted a couple months in this town because there's only so many people you can shot with a fake serum. And they ended up leaving with all of their bills completely unpaid. And the local newspaper reported that the duo left about 30 to 40 local merchants unpaid from the goods that they had used and services.
Oh my God.
So mean.
So did they all change their names?
No, they just went to a different town and set up, again, no internet, you couldn't communicate and warn people about someone as quickly. So they just would set up shop in different places.
This is my old-timey dream job.
Oh my God. I want to be a quack.
Well, yeah, okay, no, I don't want to hurt people and lie to people, but I do just want to keep jumping town and changing names and being new people.
So I know you're probably waiting to hear about the goat gland testicle.
Yeah, a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So at this point of reading the article, I'd completely forgotten that is what drew me in. I was just on the ride. I was like, wow, this guy. And then we get to it. So he left that town. He had another marriage, another divorce along his way of traveling around. He had joined the Army Reserve. He had a mental breakdown, left the Army Reserves, and he did a lot more traveling around selling fake shots and fake potions and all of the, the quack medicine before he finally settled in Milford, Kansas. He settled down. And at his clinic, he began to perform more operations that he claimed would restore male virility. Virility? Virility? Is that a word?
Yeah, virility works.
Yeah, male virility and fertility through implanting the testicular glands of goats into his male patients at the cost of $750 per operation or $10,000 in current money.
Holy shit. Why a goat?
I don't know. I legitimately don't know why goat. I guess access?
Oh, is it because goat's weed is supposed to help men in that sort, or goat? What's it called?
It's horny goat weed is what you're thinking of.
Isn't that a plant?
That's what I'm thinking of. It is a plant, but I wonder if that was just already kind of in the public
Maybe.
knowledge. So people were like, oh, it makes sense to put
A goat.
goat parts also in me.
Lord knows. Like, maybe.
As you're telling this story, I'm like, that's the American dream. Like, this man started out with nothing and made himself rich with nothing.
With nothing.
That's what they teach us in school. They're like, you can do anything. You can lie to people.
If you break a few laws,
Yeah.
hurt a few people, you can get anywhere, kids.
Yeah, exactly. Just break them.
You can inject people with colored water.
Oh my gosh. I'd rather take the coloured water than a goat gland. It's crazy. So following one of his very crude operations, the body of the patient would typically just absorb the goat tissue as foreign matter and encase it in, the body would try absorb it. And imagine if you ever get a piece of metal or a splinter in your skin, really deep in your skin, and your body tries to protect you by putting encasing it with different tissue and then trying to push it out of your body because it doesn't want to be there, it's foreign. This is kind of a similar thing. So your body was trying to just protect itself against it. It wasn't doing anything, obviously. It was just sticking a gland where the testicles once were. Lord knows. I can't even imagine. It's just okay. So not only was he doing this for testicles, he would also place them in the abdomen of women near the ovaries to try and either replace or invigorate ovarian.
Oh my God. So this was just meant to be the catch-all organ.
Pretty much.
Whatever organ.
Stick it in.
Right. Whatever sexual organ is
organ.
failing you. Yeah. Just
Stick
put
it
a
in.
goat gland there.
Pretty much, yeah. So he was doing heaps of these surgeries, and unsurprisingly, people died because he had lack of medical knowledge. He was not a medical doctor. Imagine performing surgery.
Oh, I forgot.
On an abdomen. Really delicate. Sepsis is a thing. Blood poisoning's a thing. He had poor cleanliness because he was never taught cleanliness because he's not a doctor. And so he was sued more than 12 times in a decade period for wrongful deaths from his clinic.
I bet. I totally forgot the part about him not being a legit doctor means he can't do surgery.
Yeah, so he's just making it up as he goes, pretty much.
Oh my God. Imagine believing in yourself that hard.
That is the confidence of a young American male. Back in the day.
Sarah, I only heard every other word, but I agree. I don't know why the mic cut out, but I think you're right.
This gives me a Musk bro confidence level vibes.
Yeah.
Which I do not love.
It's that kind of confidence level.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so he continued operating though, even after people were dying, and he was signing.
He kept going?
Oh, he kept going. Yeah, he's making a mint. He ain't quitting. So for his promoting, he started promoting, doing actual marketing campaigns about these goat glands, and he promoted it as a cure for 27 different ailments, everything from dementia to flatulence to infertility.
Why did people think those were connected? Why is dementia linked to flatulence?
Lord knows. I don't know. Who's to say?
Wow.
So my next line is I literally cannot fit the rest of his life into my segment because it is just there's so much that happens. It is truly wild and crazy, and some parts unbelievable. But if you want to learn more, please go and read his article, John Romulus Brinkley, on Wikipedia. But I thought I'd try encapsulate the rest of his life in a couple sentence thing. So here we go.
Okay.
He became a massive success at one point, even having Hollywood stars come and see him to get this goat gland procedure. And with this new fame, he started a radio station and a couple radio station different series. But in the background, the medical board had actually reviewed his practices and completely revoked his license, which I don't think was a legitimate license. So they were just you cannot practice medicine in these states. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, they did take his license, and 6 months later, his license to broadcast was also revoked because of the stuff he was spreading on the radio. Bye-bye goat's glands and radio deals, but that didn't stop him there. He ran and lost for governor twice He ran for governor twice and lost. He was then sued for millions of dollars in fraud and a heap of other suits, but died from heart failure while missing his 2 legs in 1942 because before the large court case of mail fraud against him could even be seen in court at the end.
Whoa. Wow. So does that mean he never really lived to see his consequences?
Yeah, well, I mean, he did lose 2 legs from poor circulation. Some might say that's karma.
He really should have done his own procedure on himself. Maybe he could have saved his legs.
In there. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think he lived to see his consequences. Not at all.
Wow, that's amazing.
Isn't that crazy? And
that
died in 1942.
Yeah, like I was about to say, like that is too close for comfort to modern times.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, I forgot. I've got some pictures for the Discord I'm sending you. So this is what he looks like, and this is one of his ads for goat gland babies.
Oh, he looks like a freak.
I don't like him. I don't like him at all.
I get massively bad vibes off of this guy. It might be his haircut.
It could be the goatee.
Or his weird face.
Or the Harry Potter glasses.
I like that the child he's holding, his name is Billy, but in quotes. Like, why is the baby Billy?
Billy Goat.
Billy Goat? Is that what it means?
Billy Goat.
Billy Goat. Oh, no.
Wait, so he put goat glands in a baby? You didn't mention that.
Oh, no. Apparently this baby was conceived from goat glands.
What?
Exactly right, Drew. Apparently.
Yuck!
No, it didn't, but yeah.
Oh my God. This guy, I want to put him in jail again.
I know, right? Like, isn't that, his haircut gives me the creeps. I do not like it.
Yeah, that guy is bad vibes. If he showed up at my house and tried to like sell me testicles, I would be upset. No way.
I think I'd be upset with anyone coming to my house and trying to sell me testicles.
Looking like that, I'd be like, I'm going to burn my own house down before you can because you look like you're going to burn my house down.
Isn't that crazy though? Like that the amount of stuff he got away with. Just
yeah.
Like, all of the wrongful deaths, like the random, so many people had died under his care. Like shocking.
And he just kept going.
His care.
Mm-hmm. His care.
Yeah.
Quotation marks. Yeah. So thank you for listening to my topic.
That was fucked, Sarah.
What a man.
You were right. That was shocking. That was absolutely shocking.
Thank you. I aim to please.
It's always amazing to see how many different ways people do life. Like we're all given this life to live, and he chose to live his that way.
Choices were made.
So yeah, this week I ended up on Crime Light or ALS, and I was wondering what you guys thought ALS or Crime Light actually is.
Is it light in an area meant to deter crime from happening?
That would be super fucking cool. That would be super cool, but it's not.
Oh.
Okay.
And it's spelt crime, as in like...
It's spelled like crime, C-R-I-M-E.
What other crime is there?
I don't know. I was going to say a light to deter crime, just like Lindsay. I'm like, yeah, or a light, like lighting for crime scenes.
Oh, you are so close.
Ooh.
So, you are very, very close. So this is actually my first forensics topic, which is kind of weird because I like forensics a little bit.
Because you're a forensic scientist.
Yeah, I like it.
This is like how Lindsay and I never cover astronomy stuff.
You've covered planetary protection.
Oh, I did too. Yeah. We sprinkle in our day jobs every now and again.
But of course, I accidentally picked the fucking most boring topic, which is Crime Light or ALS, because that's fucking really boring. Because ALS stands for alternative light sources, where basically these sources are extremely useful when it comes to finding evidence. So,
oh my god, this is like blue light and luminol.
Oh my god, we're talking about that.
Yay!
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is not boring, this is fascinating.
So
I don't know any of this.
You don't know any of this? It's great. So what I consider very interesting about crime scenes is that crime scenes don't necessarily have to make sense. And what I mean by that is that there's a whole manner of things that could be important at a crime scene, but it's up to the investigator to figure out what's important and what's not. You know what I mean? Where it's not like, it's like this stain over here. Is that important? Is it not? It could have been, blood stain from months ago. It could have been a blood stain from, today. You have to really figure out what, what's important and what's not. And ALS becomes extremely important to that because with the right light sources and the right filters, you're able to basically highlight evidence. It's almost like a fucking video game where it's like you get the right light and the right filter on it, and bam, your light, like everything just glows, and it's just like, holy shit, that's our source. That's what we want to look at. And so it's super nuts because it's just like it literally highlights things that you wouldn't be able to see with your naked eye, and that's super important to find at crime scenes because at a crime scene you're never sure exactly what's important. So
imagine how many crime scenes throughout history could have benefited from what we can do today, right?
A lot. I would say a ton.
Yeah.
like a ton.
That's a great question.
I mean, how many crime scenes can benefit from it now? Like, there's
true.
like still stuff that doesn't get processed. Like, there's a lot of stuff. So.
And is that under the prerogative of the investigator? So do they say, I need this, I need that? Or is that the forensics team that comes in and says, I need to do this and that? Or is it a little bit of both depending on where
It's kind of a little bit of both. It's mostly the forensics team coming in and being like, this is probative, this is non-probative. It's a lot of sampling things that just, may be important, but you have to be able to justify it in court because it has to make sense. You can't just be like, well, we found this blood stain. It's like, well, where'd that blood stain come from? Why is it there? You have to justify it. It's not just like you just finding a blood stain doesn't mean anything. Because like in a house, you can cut yourself and then, like, oh, there's a blood stain over there. Like, what does that mean?
There's
is that
been
important?
a couple of convictions that were overturned because they had DNA evidence that they then could prove from the protein breakdown that it was old cuts or old body fluids, but at the time it looked very incriminating.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's my biggest fear, and we're just shedding DNA everywhere we go right now.
Yes.
Just jangling it.
No, actually, I don't shed. I'm a terrible shedder.
Oh, you're not a secretor,
That's another
right?
story. That's another story for another time.
Yeah, Drew can commit crimes.
That's not true.
That's not true. Wink, wink. No, he doesn't commit crimes. He's a good boy.
Let's get back to fucking Crime Light. What exactly is Crime Light? So Crime Light is a super cool piece of technology because how it used to be is you used to have a whole bunch of different flashlights and a whole bunch of different things that would just be like, you had like a xenon arc light or like a laser light that you would use to like have different wavelengths and then be able to look through a filter, and you'd be able to find, different pieces of evidence that way. But the Crime Light basically takes all of that and combines it into one specific object. So it's one piece of technology that, has all these different light sources and all these different things. And it actually uses LED technology to produce these different wavelengths, and LEDs have greater lifespan and are much more durable than what was previously on the market. So
that's so smart.
Yeah, it lets you select a wavelength and then use the light and be like, oh, okay, now I can see this. And, with this very specific filter, you're able to kind of have things highlighted through the filter. And I keep using the term filter, and I feel like I should explain it a little better. So a filter typically comes in the form of goggles or like this little plastic square that you have that you literally just like hold in front of your face and be like, oh, look at that. It looks a little stupid, but the goggles look way better.
and it blocks out light, right? Like it will only let through a certain wavelength.
Yes,
for your eyes.
That's exactly it. It filters out specific wavelengths of light.
This is what we do in astronomy.
Yeah, you know your forensics. Typically the most common light combo is blue light and orange filter, and that's mostly for bodily fluids. And I say this is, of course, coming from the perspective of a forensics biologist. So, take that statement with a grain of salt that it's the most important. But to me, it's the most important. Looking for bodily fluids at a crime scene is most important. I'm biased. I'm very biased.
Drew likes his bodily fluids.
I'm DNA gang all the way. Come on, baby.
I think I would agree with you, though, because that is, it's so important, right? Because it's something you can directly tie to a person.
Some say that DNA is the gold standard of forensics, and I tend to agree with that. But in a lot of places, those are fighting words for the forensics community.
Well, at least it's scientifically valid rather than ballistics evidence, for example. That is not controlled, it's not standardized, it's not peer reviewed. It's very not hand wavy, but it's very
it's expertise.
Yeah, and
it's expertise oriented, where you have to be a perfect expert in it, and it's passed down. I don't know if that's the word.
But they can't it's not like you can give the same bullets to 5 different teams and get exactly the same results. They're not allowed in most in a lot of court cases now as like solid evidence to say that it definitively matches a certain gun or a certain shell, because they just can't. Like, you couldn't train a computer to say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just like hair analysis. Hair analysis used to be huge, but it's like completely out of favor now because it has no scientific backing, and so they like completely don't use it. So it's super cool. The forensics world is like ever evolving, and so that's what I really like about it. I don't know, it's cool.
It sounds like it's like as close as you can get to like an objective truth, while the others are a bit more subjective.
Once again, those are fighting words in the forensics community, so I'm not going to say that.
Sorry, forensics.
Sorry, forensics.
Those are fighting words. I will just say that it has a lot of scientific backing behind it, and it has a lot of like allele frequencies and things like that are well studied and well documented. So it does have a lot of science behind it, which is super cool, which is why I'm a big fan. But then there's a lot of chemistry, like forensic chemistry has a lot of research behind it. So it's not just like biology is the best thing in the world. It's like, how to describe it? If there's like proper instrumentation behind it and proper research behind it, they're all valuable to me, at least. But funny enough, that was kind of the end of the wiki article. So instead of just kind of ending there, I wanted to look at one of my favorite aspects of forensics, because I was like, oh, you know what? I'm on a forensics tangent. Let's go on a fucking forensics tangent. So I wanted to talk about my secret love for forensic serology. So forensic serology is basically used to detect, identify, and classify different types of bodily fluids, such as blood, semen, saliva, and urine, and then help define their relationship to a crime scene. So basically, this is like the people who are using luminol. These are the people who are using different sorts of techniques to find blood and say, you know, this is actually blood and this is probative information towards the crime scene. So that's what I love serology for. It's super cool. And this can also involve bloodstain analysis, which is another really, really interesting aspect of serology.
I'm thinking Dexter.
Basically, serological testing begins with presumptive testing, which they tend to be more sensitive but less specific to the specific bodily fluid you're looking for. And so they say, basically, when you test with presumptive testing, you're saying, oh, is something here? And then confirmatory testing, which is the second part, which is done to say, this thing is actually blood or this thing is actually semen, you know. You're saying that it actually is that thing, but it's a little less sensitive, so you're not going to detect like 1/100th of a drop of blood. You're going to be able to detect a certain amount. You know, you have a balance between the two of them, where you know one is super sensitive and one is super specific. So it's good to have both. That's kind of the whole point of serological testing is you have those two different points, which is super cool. I love it. What I wanted to get into next are a few of the actual tests that are used for. So for blood detection, there's the Kastle-Myers testing or the phenolphthalein test, which I'm not sure if Sarah's probably heard of this. But there's also the combined phenolphthalein tetramethylbenzidine test, or the PTMB test for short, which these are all presumptive tests for blood. And then you, of course, have luminol, which
I'm
sure...
Are they looking for proteins?
You're not actually looking for proteins. You're looking for, oh my God, I'm failing my forensics right now. You're looking for enzymatic activity of blood.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
So these react with enzymatic activity of blood.
Does that mean the blood has to be a certain age?
No. It's still reactive even if it's old.
Oh, that's cool.
And so the other thing that gets used often is luminol, not used often, I will say, but gets used often in crime shows, I should say, is luminol because it glows. It super glows hardcore.
So do you have to like spray a room with it?
Yeah, you darken the room and then you spray it with all luminol and then you hit it with a alternative light source and bam, it glows. Wait, no, you don't hit ALS. I think it just glows naturally. Yeah, it just glows naturally. What am I thinking?
So it's like in the movies when people will use like a UV light in a hotel room or something like that. And then you see all the gross stuff.
Yeah, that's ALS.
That's what this is.
Yes.
But you have to spray it with luminol before it does that?
No. ALS works just like purely based off of the characteristics of the like the stain itself. Luminol will glow by itself.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I was going to ask if you guys have ever tried that.
Yes, I have. Yeah. 100%.
Along those terms, I was going to ask, did you guys have the COVID testing kits that came with a UV light?
No.
Because you had to use the UV light to check the strip. It must be one of the Australian or like Australasia brands, but they were a pain in the butt. You had to use a UV light, and it came with one, which was fine. But one night when I was just really sick, could not sleep, was waiting for the COVID result, I was just shining the UV light around the room. And
Oh no.
oh my God. So nothing bad, but it was, so Lucy, our beautiful greyhound, had cut her tail months and months prior. And when she cut it, she had been wagging it and was like spraying blood all up our walls. Like we had to do a deep clean of our apartment and our carpet because there was little blood droplets everywhere. And so on the carpet,
God.
I'd used a special carpet cleaner that obviously had something like fluorescent or something in it. And when I used the UV light, all you could see was everywhere there was a blood drop. And I'm like, it looks like a crime scene in here.
Oh my
Lucy's
God.
tail. And up the wall, you could see like where I'd cleaned off the blood smears. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like if the police ever came in here, they would be like, what is happening?
Oh my God.
It was bad.
I tried it in my apartment when I first moved in and I didn't see anything. And I was like, come on, this is Chicago. Have you've done it, Drew?
Yes, I've done all of these tests. Done PTMB, phenolphthalein, all these. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's what you do in grad school. You're like, ooh, little swab. Ooh, look at this. Ooh.
You went to
Swab,
grad
swab.
school?
Yeah, for this.
When?
I love that Lindsay's known you for so long and it's like, huh? You're educated?
Wait, what? I missed you being in grad school. Sorry. Congratulations, Drew, on graduating grad school. I didn't know that.
What did you do? Did you do a master's or a...
Yeah, yes.
Oh my God, congrats, Drew. When was that?
Yeah, okay. How long ago was that?
This was years ago. It was before I went my job.
Oh my
Did you not
God,
know?
You know
Lindsay.
No, what's even funnier is that Drew and I have played D&D with each other like ever since undergrad. Like there was no gap in our friendship where we stopped talking. We have consistently been in touch, and I still, wow, I'm so proud of you.
Wow. Yeah, I went for this. I went for forensics and molecular biology. That's why I know
I
so
thought
much.
you just did that. Yeah, I thought you did it with your undergrad degree because you also did that in
No.
undergrad.
No, I did biochem in my undergrad.
Oh,
They're completely different.
Oh my
wow.
God.
I need to be in the apology corner. I'm such a bad friend.
Wait, you're getting a PhD?
Yeah, okay.
I think I knew that Drew had a master's because I'm pretty sure we've talked about forensic stuff before.
Yeah.
I just thought that was his undergrad like focus. Like I didn't know that it was a separate degree.
No, separate degree.
To be fair, I didn't know what any of my friends majored in undergrad. Our whole friend group, I could not tell you what anyone majored in. I have no idea.
No.
Well,
I'm here for the laughs. I'm here to have a good time. I'm not here to talk business.
90. We're hitting that 90%. We might be hitting 80% right now. What? God, we're off the rails right now. What I was gonna say is that I have actually done all these tests. I was actually about to say in graduate school. One of the big things that was highlighted is that these all tend to cross react with a lot of things. A lot of the presumptive tests tend to cross react. Like luminol reacts really, really well with bleach, and it makes it look like it could be someone bled a ton on the ground or just they spilled bleach. So you know you have to be very careful as to what you're actually looking at a crime scene versus it could have just been a bleach spill. Whoops.
Can it also destroy or alter samples? So like if you do a presumptive test on something, say you have like a tiny little bit of something that could be blood or semen or something important. If you do a presumptive test, can you then alter or destroy the sample?
You can. So you can also not dissolve. You can dilute. You can dilute the sample, which is a huge problem. So a lot of these tests some of them don't get run a lot of the times because they do consume the sample. Especially there's one, the Takayama crystal assay, which is a confirmatory test for blood. Doesn't get run often because it consumes all the blood and actually makes blood crystals, which are super cool looking.
You can't use them for DNA then, right?
It consumes the DNA because you literally like heat it up so much that it breaks it down. So you basically have to look at your throughput as what's important here. Is getting the DNA analysis important, or is getting the presumptive confirmatory test important? And so that's why a lot of them A lot of the tests have turned to immunochromatic assays or immunochromatographic tests, which are like the little squares that you get for COVID testing. Those are immunochromatographic tests. They use it's an immunoassay, and so you're basically putting in a little water.
I don't think we have them in
and then it goes up it travels up it, and that's like chromatography paper.
Like the PCR test?
Yeah, no. Like the regular tests that you get, those little squares, those are immunochromatographic tests.
Oh, rat tests. And you mix your snot with a medium and then you put it in?
You know, the ones that the COVID tests that you do at home.
Rats. We
That's
have
what Sarah's
rapid
saying.
antigens.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is that the same thing?
That's an immunochromatographic test, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you said, Sarah.
Okay.
Yeah, Sarah was saying like it's like the paper that it like goes up.
Basically, there's a bunch of tests for a bunch of different liquids. It's great. There's the PSA, there's the acid phosphatase test for semen, the PSA P30, that's a confirmatory test for semen, which is PSA stands for prostate specific antigen, which is another immunochromatographic assay. There's saliva, which is the FODIBOS test, which is another presumptive test, but there are no confirmatory tests for saliva, which kind of sucks, but basically amylase, which is what it targets, can be found in other bodily fluids, so you can't confirm it. So basically when you get saliva, you just kind of send it to DNA, and that's fucking it. You just like, oh, send it to DNA, it's saliva. And then urine detection is typically done through ALS. There are no confirmatory tests for that, of course, because it's an ALS. So it's, there's just a ton of different things for different bodily fluids out there that they kind of have a lot of sensitivity to them. I mean, I know a lot of the blood tests can be down to like 1/100th of a drop of blood. So it's pretty low, but
wow.
It's pretty freaking low. But the confirmatory tests are not sensitive. So sometimes you get a positive on your like presumptive test and then don't get a positive on your confirmatory. It's a real problem. But anyway, that's all forensics nonsense, by the way. But the last big thing that's being actively researched in serology is microRNAs. And these are small non-coding single-stranded RNAs that are used to regulate gene expression. And so the idea behind it is if they have a regulatory role, which they do, different microRNAs will be present in different bodily fluids throughout the body. So if you're able to find different levels of microRNAs throughout the body or like in a specific bodily fluid, you're able to identify that fluid based off of the microRNAs that are there. So like looking for a specific semen microRNA, and you see that, you're going to like, oh, this bodily fluid's semen. So that's kind of the whole idea behind it, is using microRNAs to depict what certain bodily fluids are. And this is like a super cool technology, but it's definitely being researched actively right now, but it's not quite out there yet. So that's super cool.
That's amazing.
I mean, this was just kind of a little talk about forensics. I just wanted to fucking gush about one of my favorite types of forensics. I know it's not like super hard science, but it's definitely super cool. And you know, I've done all these tests and worked with all these different chemicals, and it's definitely a very interesting thing to do. So I honestly just want to talk about forensics for a little bit. So there we go.
Aw. We loved it. Just saying we loved it. We loved your passion, Drew.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. And
Yeah, and I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool that it's all one instrument that like you can look through like goggles or something and have just like a total like superhero view of like the crime scene.
Yeah.
With the crime
and
light.
just
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
see everything completely evidence-based. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be like switching. You'd have to switch your goggles out a little bit, because if you want to filter for different things, you'd be like, oh, I want my green goggles on or yellow goggles. But
it's funny. It's funny to me because actually like what you do in practice is an analogy that I use a lot in our field, mine and Sarah's field, and I'm sure Sara does it too, where we talk about looking at the universe through different goggles and different eyes, because at different wavelengths you see completely different phenomena in space. And it's also very funny because my specific subgenre of astronomy is supernovae, which are dying stars, and I constantly call it stellar forensics.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, I very literally do what you do, but in space. So it's just really cool to me that you have this, like I imagine like walking into like a, beat up hotel room, and it's like, what happened here? And then I put on one set of goggles and I'm like, there's all the blood, maybe. Yeah. And then I put on another goggles and I'm like, maybe that's spit. No one knows. Next.
No one knows. Next.
That's like what you do with supernovae. You're like, are there X-rays? Nope.
Nope.
Are there radio waves? maybe in 40 days.
Maybe.
Can you see the
Is
hydrogen?
there red? Yeah, is there hydrogen? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe we got hydrogen.
Loads of that. Take those glasses off.
Take those glasses off. There's too much of it. Can't see anything. But
That's so good. I love that
Yeah.
you're like a stellar mortician. And I call myself, my university has started calling me Cosmic Detective in like when they describe what I do for the Superstars program. And I think of Lindsay every time I hear the word Cosmic Detective. Because I'm like, we are
Oh my
detecting
God.
the universe.
That's exactly what we're doing.
so in business, I have posted 2 pictures. One is saliva, semen, and urine under ALS,
Ooh.
and then the
Yuck.
this is what I do. This is like my life. So, and the other one is blood under ALS.
Oh, yeah, the blood is
Wow.
very obvious. So have you been to crime scenes, Drew?
No, not particularly. Not
He
specifically.
just makes them.
I just make them. Yeah. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. Crime scene investigation.
Yeah, I imagine it would be confronting.
Well, it's not so much confronting because I did a lot of forensic pathology, and so I got to see a lot of crime scenes that way, and got to see a few autopsies that way. But so like the whole blood and guts part of it doesn't bother me. It was just like, I don't know, being in a crime scene is like, I don't know, there's so much pressure on like not fucking up the crime scene. It's like, oh, I sneezed and I blew some hairs out of the way and now the whole crime scene's fucked. Like, you know, there's so much pressure on that I just didn't really want to do that. And getting called at 2 a.m. to be like, come to a crime scene doesn't sound like a great idea or like great life to me. So
Yeah.
I definitely admire the people who do it, but definitely don't want to do it myself.
That's very
Fair
nice.
So yeah,
enough.
that's ALS. I don't know. Crime. What did I say? Crime light, ALS, and serology all in a fucking nutshell. So there you go. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
We loved it.
Now I'm going to be scared when I go to bed.
Because there's a fucking crime light. It's gonna come
Talk
and
about
see you?
crimes. No one listen to this spooky podcast before you go to bed. I realized we did not shout out our new patron. We forgot to do that.
Doesn't Drew give smoochies?
Yes.
So before we get into Lindsay's good old segment, I want to shout out our new Patreon, Kent W, and say thank you so much for being a Patreon. We absolutely love you, and we're so happy that you're here with us, and we're so proud of you for coming in and being great. So I'm gonna give you a big old smoochie because you deserve it. Mwah. There you go. Now on to Lindsay's segment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you guys ready to learn all about Simlish?
Sure.
Yeah. I have
And
no
why I've
idea
asked-
what that is.
And I have also asked our lovely contestants to arrive with their very own D6s because we're going to, of course, play a little interactive game in a moment.
Okay.
Okay. So my story picks up pretty much where Drew's left off, aka a little depressing, little scary. Crime. In the early 90s, a man named Will Wright, his house burned down, actually, completely burned down. And everybody was okay, so don't worry. Just like Drew's segment, like kind of cool, kind of sad. Crime. That's what this, well, this is just house burning down. Okay, so anyway, Will Wright's house burned down, sorry. And Will Wright already had quite a penchant for architecture. He had, a lot of his own background was in architecture and had a lot of interest. And he was rebuilding his life with his family. And he was faced with the same kind of decisions we all are. I think us particularly, it's very fresh in our mind when you move into an apartment and you're like, fuck, I need everything. Sarah, I just saw your face light up. You know what's coming. You remember shit like, oh man, there's no salt and pepper. I need to fucking buy salt and pepper. Or you do what I did when I first moved in, is you move in and you're like, I never bought toilet paper. Fuck. Or, other little things like, I gotta get a real mattress because sleeping on the couch fucking sucks. Or again, if you're me, sleeping on a pile of sweatshirts really fucking sucks. And I don't want to do that for 2 weeks. So he started to rebuild his life and was thinking about the personal aspects of shopping and the grand scheme of things. And Will Wright already had a lot of this perspective in his mind because he was the creator of SimCity. And Will Wright was about to invent The Sims.
Oh my god, this is amazing. I knew that name.
So he started to design a game that would recreate this experience of choosing where you want to live. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want your house to look like? What do you want to fill it with? And making it a game.
Oh, it's so good.
And like I said, he already had some experience with this with SimCity. And I actually learned that behind the scenes, they called this new game Dollhouse, which I guess kind of makes sense.
That does
but
make
they didn't
sense.
want it to. But, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I like murdered all my Sims.
Oh my god.
Me too. I had a
yes.
graveyard.
Yeah, you got it. There's ghosts. Like, you got to make
You
a
got it. The
graveyard.
Grim Reaper comes and has a chat to you. It's great.
It's awesome. It is clearly one of the best games that's ever existed.
Hands
I
down.
never get tired of The Sims. I'm glad Gene isn't here because every single time he streams twitch.tv/Schwancy, I end up trolling his chat saying Sims 4, play Sims 4, play Sims 4 when he streams Sims 4. And he'll just stop what he's doing and be like, Lindsay, I'm not fucking playing Sims 4 on stream. Which maybe we can all pressure him. Bullying works.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was a joke.
So Will Wright and his team start to develop Dollhouse. And at this point now we're like getting towards the late 90s, they've got like the mechanics down and the animations down. But at this point, they were just like wire mesh sort of people. And the time came to do the voices. And we all know Simlish, which is
Yes.
what
The Sims speak.
the Sims speak, but how that actually came about is my topic because it's quite an interesting story. So Will's original vision was the people who are workshopping their lives are going to have to redo the same little aspects over and over again. Like, how long did it take you to pick out your Sims outfits or, their bone structure? Like, yeah. No, like it takes, you need a lot of details.
Because I'm indecisive in real life. So then put me in a computer game. My God. It's hell.
Right, like making your dream life.
Oh, it's so hard.
It takes a lot of fine tuning. So Will Wright didn't want a recognizable language because he didn't want it to be repetitive. Like if you put a shirt on a person and they just said, "Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?" over and over again, like you would get kind of sick of the game. So he didn't want a recognizable language, but he was really fascinated by code breakers from World War II. So if you don't know...
the Enigma machine.
What's the Enigma machine?
It was one of the code breaking machines in World War II.
This may be very similar.
Okay.
I don't know if that was decoding languages. So in World War II, a lot of American soldiers actually learned Navajo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same thing, Sarah.
No,
it's
it's
very
different. But
Okay. Well, so Will Wright was really inspired by the fact that so few people knew Navajo, which is, sad in its own way, but so few people knew Navajo that it was like a code that American soldiers could use. So at first he was looking into using Navajo for Simlish, actually, to be the language. And according to the articles I read, there weren't enough voice actors who spoke Navajo for that to actually be a reality, which is also kind of sad in
That is
itself.
sad.
Yeah.
So they also looked into using Ukrainian, Estonian, Swahili, and Cherokee.
Ooh.
And the original scripts, I guess, what happened was they brought the voice actors into a room, showed them these wire mesh animations of their characters, and wrote out phonetically what a mix of these languages would sound like and asked the people to speak them. But what ended up happening was that the people didn't feel like they were doing the pronunciations right. So they actually just got really frustrated and you could hear their disappointment in their voices. And it just wasn't coming across well. Oh, sorry. I jumped the gun. Before this voice actor came in, before everyone gave up, sorry, shit. That was not a good transition. They also tried instruments, which I thought was really weird.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever played Don't Starve. The characters kind of speak as their own instruments. Like there's a girl who's a flute and there's a boy who's Anyway, they also tried that, which I thought was really weird, and they called that a spectacular failure, which is probably why I skipped over it just now in my my own retelling of the story. It was bad. So sorry. This voice actor comes in and he's like, "Hey, I've got this kind of crazy idea. I do like stand-up improv, and we play this game called Foreign Poet, where we recite a poem in utter gibberish, but we put all of the emotion and
Into it.
feeling into it, and the audience finds it really funny. Can I try that? And they all were like, sure, we've got nothing to lose. That was the birth of Simlish.
Oh my God.
The whole studio loved it, and they were like, do you have a female counterpart? Can she come in here? And so I don't know if you know the original Goths family.
Yes, my favorites.
Of course, like your first neighbors, that man and woman. What is it? Is it Bella and
Bella?
No.
I think it is Bella.
Mortimer is the other.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And he's got like a little moustache.
They are the original voice actors. In fact, the two voice actors did all of the voices up until 2006.
Wow.
But what I wanted to do with you guys is reenact the way that they still do sim voices to this day, which is that they watch an animation and they are told the number of syllables and the emotion that they need to make the phrase. I don't have any animations, but I did write down some gibberish phrases for you, and we're each going to roll a d6, and I'm going to tell you what emotion you have to say your phrase with. Okay. So everybody roll your d6.
Ooh, that's a 1, baby.
Okay. So I wrote down your phrase because I'm not good at making up gibberish on the spot. I tried. I'm very bad at it. So I wrote down real sim phrases. Sara got a 6. Drew got a 1. So Drew, if you go over to Bibness, I want you to say your phrase in an angry voice, please.
Hey, you're kabobo. Sounds like an alien.
And Sara, I would like you to say your phrase in a joyous voice.
Blush me give for shoob.
And I rolled a 2, so I'm going to say mine in an exasperated voice. Ka-tika-loo!
Love it.
It's so good.
So that actually is the way that that all of the voice acting happens, except sometimes they bring in celebrity voice actors. So some of the new Sims games have actually had stars like Katy Perry, Depeche Mode, the Black Eyed Peas, all cover their own song. Even Arcade Fire covers their own songs in Simlish versions. And some of the stars actually...
So good.
There is this viral... I don't know if it's actually viral, but it was in like every article I read. There's a video recording of Katy Perry singing Last Friday Night in Simlish. And it got stuck in my head so hard. Like, please look it up. It was so funny. Daniel was like, what the fuck are you doing? I kept singing it at the cats.
Wow.
It's so good.
Oh my God.
But actually, another kind of like Easter egg that I thought was really cool is that some celebrities were not good at making up this sort of like improv gibberish on the spot, just like I'm not. So Drew Carey, for example, he had like a guest star kind of role in The Sims, and he actually snuck in some shout outs to his friends by weaving their last names into their gibberish. So somewhere in there, he is doing like a nod at his friends in his few lines that he has. But yeah, that's the way it's done. It's the way it's been done since the late 90s. And now whenever you hear Simlish and you're wondering about any direct sort of translations, know that there are none.
There are none. Wow.
It is all made up on the spot, other than a couple agreed upon words like "su-su" means hello or goodbye. But that's really it. And what really got me hooked on this was the writing in The Sims. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but The Sims actually tries to use as little writing as possible in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So stop signs, for example, are replaced with just a hand or things like that. So all of this has been a purposefully crafted experience to make it more immersive for the player, all the way down to the gibberish that you hear. And I'll leave you with one final thought. A linguist commented in an article that I was reading that Simlish is actually closer to baby talk than it is to English.
Wow. It's like
Wow.
goo goo gaga. It's like the babbling. Because have you seen like little babies, like when they're about 1 and they start like chatting to you with their babbles? It's so, like they're having a full conversation, like, and you're like, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, shocking. developments going on over there.
I bet that's what the baby thinks you're doing too. You're like,
Yeah.
we're just making sounds.
We're just making sounds together. Come on.
That was so good. I really want to go play The Sims now.
Oh man, yeah, like a totally deeper appreciation. And to me, like, I never really thought about the ways that the tone really matches the Sims body language as well as it does. Some of the phrases just really stick with me. And I think it's like really a testament to the voice actors' talent that they watch those body motions and match them. It's very clear that that came in that order.
You know, our mutual friend Kevin knows all Simlish. He like can reproduce it perfectly. So I'm gonna give him a call and just be like, "Hey Kevin, can you?" I'll record it and tell Kevin, "Can you do Simlish for me?" See what he does.
Little bonus content. Kevin speaking in Simlish.
Kevin speaking. Oh my god, he's so good at it.
Yeah, that is my little Simlish 101.
I can't
Simlish
believe I
101,
didn't
I love
recognize it just from the word at the beginning, Simlish. I should have known.
Yeah, I didn't even think about
Should
it.
have known. So good.
Yeah. I had landed on like list of fictional languages, and I was like, then I saw it on the list, and I was like,
oh shit!
Oh!
Amazing. This was a great episode. This had some great, I mean, I love every episode, obviously. But this is chaotic. Like, we had crackery, we had crime scenes, we had Sims, all in one.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the spirit of Go Ask Alice.
It really is.
Thanks as always for hanging out with us, guys. We all agree 3 out of 3. This was peak Go Ask Alice. This is our brand. This is what it's all about. If you're listening for the first time, this is us. If you're listening for the second time, this is still us. Come hang out with us anywhere that you get your social media. We are on Twitter, Go Ask Alice Pod. We are on Instagram, Go Ask Alice Podcast. If you love videos that also teach you something and are just really fun and interesting, you can go to Sara Web Science on TikTok, and Jean's Twitch that I plugged earlier is twitch.tv/Sfancy, but all of these links are below in the app.
Fuck.
Cass for Kiki too. As always, thank you so much for listening, and we love Muggle Watcher.
Yeah, we love Muggle Watcher.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ba-da-ba-da-ba, horny goat, weed in my ass. Oh, I forgot we're recording. Whoops.